Hello.
There we are. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Everybody.
Oh, I got myself.
You know, this time I'm seeing the name tags. I don't recall at our last meeting seeing the label. I'm glad that's there. So now I know Herman's the name that goes with that face, and
Oh, there they
Hey,
are.
where's my name?
I see Gary Green. Who's that sitting next to Gary Green?
That would be Linda.
I'm
My wife.
busy. Yeah, I gotta go.
Okay, Linda.
There they are. Okay.
And Linda Chitwood, your husband is
Hal.
Hal.
Hey, Al.
Hey, Al, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
That's a different hell.
Yeah, two Hals here tonight,
Yes.
and at least two Lindas.
And at least two Lindas. That's right.
Only one Amalia.
And only one.
Hey.
Oh.
That's right. Jim Houlihan.
All right, it is 7 o'clock, and let me just take care of a couple of things here as the Zoom host. Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
All right, all right. We are recording this, and that's because it's just easier to take notes if you've got a video capture. So we're going to be doing that tonight. We will ultimately post it up on YouTube for club members who don't happen to participate with us live tonight. Everybody at the moment is unmuted. At certain points during the meeting, I'll mute everybody, but you always can unmute yourselves by clicking on the mute button when it shows up, or press the space bar on your keyboard, and that will unmute you for momentary speaking as well. I see we got Irv. I got a total of 10 of us on here tonight so far. Hopefully more will come on. And with that, I will turn things over to our President Wayne and Vice President Linda.
Wayne, you're muted.
Unmute yourself, Wayne.
Can't hear you.
You.
There
Okay.
There you go.
Okay,
All right.
we can hear you now.
Okay. I want to welcome everybody to the meeting. And I looking forward to having Linda Chitwood as the new president. I'm going to be nominating her or voting for her. And a very important time. I know Linda has a agenda, but I just wanted to share everything with everybody. With the insurrection going on and continuing, I wanted to share something immediately about Martin Luther King Day on Saturday the 16th. They are doing a wreath laying ceremony at the Martin Luther King Memorial Park, which is on 500 Southwest MLK Jr. Boulevard. That would be Route 200 down the left on 16th Avenue, turn left, and you'll run right into it at noon.
At noon.
I'm going to try, I'm going to make that there. And I'd like to ask my fellow Democrats to go down and support Martin Luther King wreath laying. And I want to be one of the white folk down there. I think that's very important for a white man or a white woman to be down there and showing support, because I believe there could be some of those other people down there.
Okay, yeah.
And I wanted just to share that. And right now I'm gonna turn it over to Linda. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Wayne. I see Carol Lee's on now. Betty Valentine is on. Trying to see who else. Herman, Carol Lee, Darlene just is getting in, I think. And I'm just trying to acknowledge everybody who's here. I don't, Betty, Betty, you're not unmuted. Can you unmute? Oh, okay.
There's a mute button in the bottom
I think
corner
I
of
got
your,
Oh,
there you
here
go.
she is. Hi, Betty.
Yeah, I'm on my
apologize.
tablet. I think I got it.
Okay, I apologize if you've been with us before and I just don't remember, but have you been with us on a Zoom meeting before?
Yes, I have.
Oh, good. Well,
I-
welcome back. I just wanted to make
let me-
sure
Let me explain. I'm an independent, but I say I caucus with the Democrats
oh,
deeply.
we
We like
welcome
independents.
everybody, every like-minded progressive
Golly.
person you can get. We'll take them. So thanks for being here. Hi, Darlene. You are muted. If you want to speak, you're muted. Okay, I'm looking to see who's all here. Okay, well, we'll go ahead. What I was gonna do is if there were any people on that had never been on before, I was gonna ask them to introduce themselves, but I'm glad Betty reminded us all what her status is. Everyone else I recognize and believe you've been with us before. You may have seen an email from me that went out rather belatedly about nominations and offices and all that stuff. Let me just take it briefly, quickly explain to you what we should be doing tonight is nominating officers for the upcoming year. And we didn't have a lot of nominations.
You got mail.
Oh. Okay.
Nominations are coming in now.
Their nominations are coming, Linda.
Okay. So I just want to ask my compadre on the board, Jim Houlihan. Jim, you are muted. Can you unmute yourself, please?
I am unmuted.
Okay.
Hi,
Did
Jim
you
Houlihan.
get any
Hi
late
there.
nominations today?
I missed the last part.
Did you get any late nominations today?
I did not.
Okay. All right.
So basically it stands pretty much where it was when you and I talked, Linda.
Okay, all right. All right, well, let me explain to the rest of the people who weren't on the phone with us. We need a president, a vice president, a secretary, a parliamentarian, and a treasurer. And until this is decided, all of those jobs are open except for the treasurer. By acclamation, the board decided to keep Dee Brandon as our treasurer. Otherwise, all jobs are open if anyone had wanted to nominate someone or wanted to volunteer to be nominated and voted on to accept that position. Where we stand is, as we have no new nominations, the people who are now running for the office, I, Linda Chitwood, am running for president. Gary Green is running for vice president. Jim Carroll is not on with us. And let me take a moment. Did anyone hear from Jim today?
He is coming in right now.
He's coming in right now. Okay, well, Jim Carroll is nominated for the parliamentarian. And
Hi, Jim.
hi, Jim. Is he there? Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
I'm just explaining what we're doing, Jim. And so those were the primary. As of right now, we do not have a nominee for secretary. So the secretary job is a very, very important job. We need the secretary. The secretary usually works very closely with the president and the vice president. So I just don't know if there's any of you on with us right now who would like to nominate someone or throw your hat in the ring. Do I hear any comments or anything on that front? Okay, well, we'll leave it at that for right now. I will consult with the board and our parliamentarian later to see what one does in a situation like that. In fact, I'll consult with the parliamentarian right now. Jim, we have confirmed nominees for the president, vice president, parliamentarian, and treasurer. but we do not have a nominee for secretary. Do we go ahead and vote for the offices that have confirmed nominees?
Yeah.
Jim Carroll. Jim, you are muted. There he is. Jim,
Well,
did you hear me?
Yeah, my speaker's not very loud for tonight for some reason.
Okay.
What did you say though?
Okay, what I said was, we do not have a nominee for secretary, but we
Okay.
do have confirmed nominees for all the other posts. Can we go ahead and vote for the nominees who are confirmed and you'll tell us what to do about the secretary later? Or do we wait? What do we do?
Well, you're just naming the people who have consented to
run.
serve.
Right, correct.
But you can call for nominations from the floor, but otherwise you would call for nominations in March when you do the voting for the entire slate.
Correct.
Okay, so we could wait then, or as we continue to try to find someone, we could just wait till March to do the final voting.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, well, that sounds fine to me.
Yes, you're just nominating or presenting those who have agreed to be nominated, so to speak.
Okay, all right, well, that's fine. I apologize, folks. This parliamentarian stuff is not my sport. That's why we have Jim.
You can just go ahead and name somebody like Carol Lee or
Well, if I wanted my friend Darlene to fall out of her chair, I'd mention her name, but I'm not going to be mean to her.
I knew you were thinking about me.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
could feel the vibes.
Did you feel it coming your way?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sensing the vibrations?
yes.
Sensing the vibration, that's right.
If I may, Linda, if I may interrupt, the secretary's position is not a hard task at all. Is taking some notes at board meetings, which are this year will be 6 or 7 times, and in a election year to be 10 or 11 times probably. And during club meetings, similar number of times. So long as we are recording the messages, you don't even recording our meetings, both board meetings and club meetings. We're recording them on Zoom. It's not 100% vital that you be in person at those or be live at those. It would be helpful, but this is not like somebody's asking you to take on a responsibility that's going to suck up 10 hours a week or even 10 hours a month. It's probably less than 10 hours a year for the secretary for the club.
Okay, thank you for that, Gary. I forgot to mention 2 things, and oh Lord, did they go out of my head already, about the secretary, or I apologize, guys, it's just gone. It'll come back to me.
Could it be that you wanted to remind them that they automatically become a board member?
Oh, yes, thank you, dear. That's why he's here, okay? I wanted to remind
More
everyone.
than just a pretty face, huh?
Yes, other than just a pretty face. We have additional board members other than just the officers, but all of the officers are also board members. And we have with us right now, Irv Becker is a board member. And Jim Houlihan is a board member. Now, Jim Houlihan is also our nominations committee chairperson, as well as the entire committee. So I have to give thanks to him for his efforts. And so that's how that went. Thank you. Okay.
You're
Looking at
welcome.
my notes here.
Can everybody hear her okay?
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Good.
Okay.
Well, okay. I'm talking loudly because I want to make sure everybody hears me.
That's better.
All right. We did that. Okay. What is it?
Oh, I was just telling you to turn the volume down.
I did turn the volume down. Oh dear. Did anybody see Morning Joe this morning? There was
No.
almost a marital meltdown in the Morning Joe talk show. Did
He
you
said
see it,
several.
Carly? I really was hoping. Hal said they weren't in the same place. They were in their boxes like we are. But I said they need to kiss and make up. But we think they were in different. She was fighting with him because I forgot what question he kept asking all of his guests. Doesn't matter. She didn't like the question. And he said, so they got ready to do their next segment. And he said, their next guest was going to come on. And he said, well, I guess I better not ask this person that question. It was very funny. So you're liable to see a similar incidents like that as we sit here. Okay. All right. Well, we wanted to have a toast, whatever you would like to have, if you don't
Yes,
want anything,
yes.
to the results of the election. And because I don't know how many of you have heard, some people talking on television about they were disappointed in the Democratic Party and it wasn't good. But we think it was good. And after we have our little sip here and cheer Biden and Vice President-elect Harris on, then we'll take a little comments from the floor. Well, cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
And
We're-
Warnock and
Warnock and
Ossoff.
Oh, right, thank you.
Warner and Ossoff.
Yeah, I am so happy about those two senators from Georgia.
Yeah.
I just cannot
Yes.
stand it.
Yes.
I mean, I was just so afraid they wouldn't win, but they have won. And now that puts us in a good position in the Senate. So I'm very, very pleased about that.
Here.
And so we didn't lose the House. So I get a little bit annoyed when I hear people denigrating the results of the election because it was a success.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been far worse. We could have
Yeah.
lost to that maniac, and we didn't. And thank God for that. And,
The Democrats aren't good at promoting themselves and their victories. They seem to be very modest or something. I don't know what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
if the Republicans did that, God, you'd think it was the second coming.
They did. They already did.
Trump was the second coming.
Right.
666, the beast.
Yes.
If you read
Yes.
the Bible,
Yes.
I think he was the beast or the Antichrist or something.
All of those things. All of those things.
All those things.
Well, what do you guys think would be the best thing, aside from supporting the bills that President Biden would like to see passed? What do you think the best thing all of the state parties, Democratic parties could do, and all of the people in Congress could do to support him, to help him out with all the problems we're going to have? So you got any ideas or suggestions on that?
really focus on unification first. If we
Yes.
don't unify, we're still going to be in trouble. We've got to focus on knowing how to unify. I don't have the answer. I just know that's the key issue, that we go higher, as Michelle Obama said.
Right.
I think that infrastructure would probably help unify faster, something faster, the country faster than anything else. Because if people have jobs and they're busy, they're not going to be able to spend hours and hours and hours on the internet reading crap. Right. And
That's a very good point. Almost like after the Second World War,
Yes.
where the jobs programs came in.
Right.
Give these people jobs, and they're not going to be complaining.
you give them
about
jobs,
the
then they
government.
get girlfriends,
And-
then they make
yeah.
families, then they make children, and then they're really busy.
And life is good. And as
Yeah.
far as unification goes,
Yeah.
we just need to unify the Democrats. we are not going to get any of those Republican Trumpites.
No.
That group is that group.
Yeah.
We have to unify the Democrats.
Right.
That's the key.
Right, we need to stop going in the circular firing, squad where we shoot each other. We need
Yeah.
to, I have said this before, I think the Republican information branding machine is genius. They pick a
Yes.
phrase, they pick a
Yes.
cause,
Yes,
they pick somebody to pick on, and I swear they go
Right.
at it lockstep.
last night, Thomas Friedman was on, I think it was maybe Christian Amanpour. I'm not sure. Or it was on MSNBC.
MSNBC.
That's what, okay. And he really, you have to go and watch this again, because he listed the things of what the Democrats had to do.
Oh,
And it was, and don't say socialism, say tweaking capitalism, a kinder capitalism, or some, don't even use the word socialism, but he went right down the list that was so sensible. And also, I think I'd hire an ad agency,
yeah,
a PR company
yes.
to make sure that they all hit all those points
Donnie
all
Joyce.
the time. All those talking points get reinforced over and over and over. The great thing about Republicans is they're terrific parrots,
Mhm.
and they just repeat themselves over and over. And I'm beginning to think that the general populace is so stupid that they need that first, second, third grade repetition.
I really wish.
Deny, deny, deny. Lie, lie, lie.
Right.
They do.
I
They
am,
lie a
it
lot.
works. It works.
They
Yeah.
lie like rugs. I wish
Right.
somebody could get a hold of AOC and tell her not to say that word again. Did you want to say something, Amalia?
Well, yes, it's been my experience that most Americans don't even know their history, and they don't know what policies have been promoted through the last 4 years that are actually hurting most Americans, both in jobs and corporation, whether the employee has any say in a corporation or not with their job. I think we should look at the Republican program, which has been around for about 50 years, how they were going to destroy this and destroy that and destroy that, and focus on how Democrats have built, including FDR after the war, and Medicare and Social Security, and how these programs are destined to help the general public, everyone, but not if they're undermined by like the last 4 years, which they have been terribly undermined. So I think we should focus on the facts of policies and programs that help Americans help themselves, and move forward with a positive spin that way. I don't see that we're going to pick up any of the other side, and nor do maybe we don't want to either. All that being considered. But there's so many things. I don't have a list in front of me right now, but I do have a list to share with you all. I'll send it later. I just got it today. On programs and policies that the average worker is being adversely hurt. They've tried to kill off all the unions that used to speak for employees.
Yes.
I mean, it's devastating if you're an employee and you happen to work for one of these places that's protected. So I'll share that with you all afterwards. But that's where I think Democrats fall short. We don't expound on the good things, the good policies, and how to keep them good.
Right.
Yeah.
We
Well,
need-
some of the uphill battle with that is that the Republican side has been so successful at making these good things sound bad. So, you talk about protections for the workers. Well, there's a whole set of spin of government overreach and overregulation, and that's why jobs go overseas. So I'm just using that as one of many examples of, no, those protections are a good thing. those protections are the right thing to do.
Right?
But just because somebody else wants to slap a socialist label on it and make the word socialist a dirty word, it makes it very tough then to figure out, how do you talk about the things that you're doing right when you've been villainized for doing those good things?
I understand, but I don't feel that that should stop us. And also,
I didn't say it
Mr.
should stop
Biden-
us. My point was that is the hurdle in the messaging. I
Right.
agree 100% with what you're saying. I very much agree with your entire point. I'm just saying that, okay, we want to educate. How are we going to help educate? This is our hurdle. As soon we don't get to talk about what we're doing well, because the good things that the Democrats have done have been villainized.
Yes,
You know,
I
there's that misinformation hurdle to come over first before we brag about what we've done.
Right. But Mr. Biden can already do several, if he will, executive orders that will reverse some of the harm that's been done, like with corporations who are being protected in case their employees get COVID, that kind of thing. Those things he can already do. He's not going to be prevented from doing that, as I see it. For example, Occupational Safety Health Administration, which we call OSHA, has been basically handcuffed in the last 4 years, and their job has always been to help protect the employees in their working environment. Well, I'm an old nurse, so I can speak from experience on that. And where you read about and heard about all the employees in the meatpacking plants. I mean, it was horrendous. It's still horrendous, but that can be changed quickly with an executive decision. So I'm optimistic that if we all move together that way and help in our own communities that way, that we can maybe make some headway. I don't know. It's not an easy job, but just a thought.
It seems like you have two options. One is policy, the other is politics. Rubio is up for election in 2022, as well as a lot of representatives.
DeSantis.
All the representatives will be up,
Maybe they'll be in jail by then.
if they're not right. So,
Treason.
I think you have to kind of decide which way you're going to. One thing that's in terms of employment, if you heard that today's unemployment went up considerably. When it should be going down, it's not. It's going the opposite direction. Another policy issue coming up is employees' privacy in the workforce, particularly with their health records, where corporations would like to be able to know what your health conditions are, so they can use that to not employ you because it would hurt their payments.
That's right. That's right. That's not
Yeah.
new. That goes all the way back to the early 80s with HIV and AIDS diagnosis.
Isn't that against HIPAA regulations though?
HIPAA regulations are still in force. Well, they're not, it depends on the corporation, but they are still there and they're still on the federal books. And each company should be preparing right now for each, especially healthcare company, should be preparing their HIPAA regs and policies for this 2021 year, because at the end of each year, they're supposed to report in what they've done and how it's been affected, and they need to continue to have that program up and running.
Right, because that just sounds like absolute violation of HIPAA regulations to me.
Yes, yes.
We're about to have a little overflow here, folks. But we're fine.
Hey,
A little bit too much exuberance, let me just say it.
hey,
that way.
Linda, can you hear me?
We
Yes,
do.
Oh, is Herb on?
Urban's on, yes.
Oh, cool. Finally. Yeah, what I was we're talking about grandiose ideas. What you need to do is grassroots things. What I would suggest is maybe listening to and calling into the local right-wing radio, particularly Sky 97.3. And when they ask for opinions, give them your opinion.
Oh, that's an
Good
idea.
idea.
I've never
Wow.
done that before. I would
Because
love
we're
to
not
do
going to do anything in Ocala about the overall global warming or anything else, but we can do something here if we can see the people they're listening to with maybe positive ideas. That's it.
Is that AM or FM?
FM.
Oh,
Hey, Irv, send out, if you will, send that out as an email with recommendation. Give us to get the phone number and, you know, which program is the most
yeah.
toxic or the
Oh,
most
yeah,
likely
well,
to be
yeah.
useful to us.
I can do that because Bob Rose in the morning from like 8 till 10 has all the people they're just now waking up and trying to get their guns loaded and trying to organize and that sort of thing. But
What I'm hearing so far with all these ideas is a conspiracy to put facts out in the world.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
no, we don't want facts. We want images.
If I could, I think probably the thing that we as a group ought to focus on is trying to get more membership in the club. And it's very easy since we have Zoom meetings right now anyway. If everybody said, well, you know, at the next meeting, which is 2 months away, I'm going to bring someone else that hasn't ever been in to the Zoom meeting, you know, have them from their home also log in. I think everybody could find one person that they know and say, be at our next Zoom meeting. You don't have to join the club yet, but be at our next Zoom meeting to see what it's like. And so if everybody would drag one more person to the Zoom meeting, we'd have a chance at expanding our audience a little bit. And the more people we get, the more effect we can have. But I agree with what Erd's saying, and I think the local activities, and Lynn and I were talking about it today, the writing letters to the newspaper, which she likes to do, I believe they need to become letters of reconciliation, letters that say the election's over and let's all work together, you know, those type of things, and offer peace.
I'm
Right.
gonna be Mika here.
Try to tone things down a little bit and get people not hating each other so much.
Well, and it would not be against our own best interest to help real Republicans get their party back,
Well, that would be great.
because it makes the system work. Having a right, having a left, we tug against each other, and somehow our country finds its way down the middle. What's disrupted it is the Trumpians taking over the Republican Party. There are Republicans that don't want them in there. I mean, you know, you think about at the highest level, all the people involved with the Lincoln Project and stuff like that. That trickles down. So just along all the things that we need to do to advance our more humane view of governance. Again, I guess I can't come up with any better choice of words. It will benefit us to help moderate Republicans win their party back. Whatever little things we can do, whether it's by small deeds or words here and there. I just want to make sure that we don't always look at it as it's us against all of them, because really we're only strongly against some of them, and the others provide that natural and healthy tug of war balance that we do need. That said, you know, there's certain Republicans that I think really have to go, starting with DeSantis and maybe a greater Democratic presence in the state house, etc. We're new to Florida. We're not sure what the recent history has been on gerrymandering, and why is it that Florida politics so heavily skews Republican? And going back to the suggestion a few minutes ago about doing things grassroots, we've got to look at supporting those candidates that can get the lower level offices, the local offices, because ultimately those things then more immediately affect our lives.
Gary, I want to follow up on something you're
Yes.
saying there. I think we need not to lose sight of an underlying theme in all of our politics. I think almost everyone on this this Zoom meeting right now was alive when it was the Dixiecrats. When the Democrats were on the side that the Republicans are on that. Does everybody remember that? I want to get to part of an answer to your question about what's wrong with Florida. Why are we so Republican? I believe it's been over 20 years since I don't know when the state house was last Democratic, but I want to point out that even if it were at that time Democratic, it wasn't the kind of Democratic that we know right now.
Yeah.
Right.
It was the segregationist, Dixiecrat, keep the monuments up, keep the flags flying, those kinds of Democrats. Well, what's happened, there's been a flip. We are now on the side of inclusion. We want the monuments to go in a museum. We'd like those Nazi Southern flags taken down. I'm just being silly here. Go in a museum. And so we have to remember our history of how we got right here, right now. So some people in Florida who call themselves Republicans right now, they're probably the old Dixiecrats that just flipped after the 60s when the Civil Rights Act came out. They said, I can't be a part of this anymore. I gotta go be with my people. So that's just my take on part of the political history and evolution of our country.
It's really South Georgia and the Cuban influence.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The Cubans are against any kind of reconciliation with Cuba. And so they are going to be with the party that is against our having any kind of good relations with Cuba.
Right.
The Cubans are still remembering very strongly the Bay of Pigs.
Right.
The Bay of Pigs was probably the thing that turned most Cubans who came to this country against Democrats. They have not forgotten the Bay, and maybe some of the younger ones, but the ones that are our age, it's the Bay of Pigs still. And as far as the Republican thinking, what you folks have mentioned, all politics starts at the local level. And the Republicans took that to heart before the Democrats, and the Republicans turned a lot of state houses. The Republicans went local and they won local. Not only obviously in the South, which basically turned against the Democrats in 1964, but throughout the country, Republicans said, hey, we got to get the local level. That's one big issue. Another thing that's been going on for many years is, as you've also mentioned, the Republicans, Herb mentioned local right-wing radio station, the Republicans have controlled the radio. They have super salesmen like Medal of Freedom winner Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, jeez.
Right?
Right.
You don't know what an impact he has had nationally. People who work out, roofers, carpenters, people who are out, your working man who's out listening to the radio. One of their buddies says, hey, you got to listen to this guy. He's really good. They listen to Rush Limbaugh. and he is one hell of a salesman. I don't agree with a thing he says, and he is a rabble rouser. He is their number one man. The Democrats have nobody out there who can compete nationally. This guy is national, and he has converted a lot of people. I have a son-in-law who thinks Rush Limbaugh is God. I have a son-in-law who, when he speaks, I say right from the lips of Rush Limbaugh. And, you know, it's,
Crazy.
he is in the construction trade, you know, and these are people who would really benefit from being Democrats.
Yeah.
But you have people out there lying and they're convincing like Limbaugh. What do you do about that? Limbaugh, I realize isn't going to be with us much longer.
We have to counter and get the word out. Carol Lee, did you raise your hand earlier and want to say something? I hope you haven't forgotten what it was. No? Okay.
No, I was just, I was just thinking about the socialistic name, and that's the name that bothers me the most because everybody, when you say socialist, you think about Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
And we've got to get past that. And, that's one of the things that hit me the most. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to just, although it bothers me very much. A couple of years ago, I wrote a really long piece for the Citizen about this and tried to debunk. But the problem is people who hold their beliefs very deeply are almost impossible to change their minds. It's virtually useless to try. So if someone has decided that socialism is this, and this, and that it's bad, you can throw facts at them all day long. However, just because I said that doesn't mean that I don't think we should keep telling the truth. And the truth is we have a minorly combined form of government. First of all, we're not a pure democracy. We're a republic. We're a representative form of democracy. And second of all, we have socialistic programs in our DNA here now. We've got Medicare, we've got Medicaid, we've got the public schools, we've got the military. There are many government-run programs in our country that people just don't want to hear us refer to those as socialistic programs.
I think one of the other things also is the fact that whoever thought of this word used the wrong word in describing the police when we decided we wanted to defund the police. And that has been something that's been starred on our backs forever. And we've got to get past that as well.
They've been talking about it on the news channels that Hal and I listen to. They say, we don't want to take all of their money away. It's just a redistribution of the money. Take some of the money that they have and put it toward, I hate to say it this way, but a social program like social workers that'll go out without guns and take care of a mentally ill person instead of shooting them.
Right, but it's the word that they're using. It's a bad word.
Yes. Defund is a ridiculous word. I hated it the moment I ever heard it, and I thought, oh, God, what are they talking about? We're not going to take all the money away from them.
One way to look at it is we only meet every other month this year. Biden's going to come out with some sort of health plan. One of the unifying subjects over time has been concerns about healthcare, Republican and Democrats. Not so much the politicians, but the electorate. So maybe could just devote this year to bringing people to our meetings to tell us why this plan is going to be good for you and our neighbors and so forth. and concentrate on one thing and really work it rather than try and solve the nation's problems, so to speak.
Well, Jim, I haven't been on every page of Biden's web presence, but do you know, I believe his health plan is actually outlined on his website. Do you think that's correct?
Well, I think it's the platform, how it's going to end up on the floors of the House and Senate are two different things.
Oh, okay. Well, so that, Herman, I don't know
Yeah.
whether you heard Jim or not, but that's an idea. By
Yes,
the way, I forgot to say to everybody that Herman is in charge of getting our guest speakers. And so Herman Brown, if you have, and he's also a board member, and so is Wayne Mamie. I think Wayne was there and he came back again. Anyway, getting someone to come to speak to us, maybe when there are more concrete, more concrete information about Biden's healthcare plan, you might get somebody to come talk to us about it.
okay,
Well, you might want to bring in other parties, a doctor, a nurse, a insurance, health insurance provider, so forth and so on. Just every meeting would be some element of the healthcare system and why we, if we are concerned about our healthcare system, then you might get some Republicans who are interested in come to the meeting. Who knows?
Oh my, that's a tall order. And where we live, I'll tell you that.
that's
Where we
tricky.
live, that's a tall order. I don't know if anybody saw this past Friday's Citizen. Basically, if you pick it up and go to the opinion page, it's a surprise that it doesn't spontaneously combust. But there's an article. There's two guys or people who write in there, D.L. Lawson and Beecham. They are continually published there, and one of them wrote a scathing condemnation of how President Obama wanted to turn the country completely socialist.
Yeah,
And the idiot goes down point by point by point, and he conflates and confuses socialism with communism. And I was going to try to rebut it, but I've had a lot of other things on my mind and I didn't get it done. And it doesn't make any difference anyway, because nobody is going to believe it if it comes from the other side. They just simply will not believe it. And I decided, I may get around to writing something, but it didn't come in anytime soon. But
Well, that's one of the reasons that you have the Cubans going Republican is because they associate socialism with Castro.
right.
So
and Venezuela, these idiots that listen to these right-wing crazy people on the radio and television keep talking about Venezuela. We're way too much of a capitalistic country to ever go the way of Venezuela. And I'm hoping that the majority of our elected officials are honest enough. Let me go this way. Just honest enough to keep us from going all the way down the rabbit hole. And I don't mean that in a really bad or mean way. I truly believe all the people who choose to go into politics know what they're in for. They know what they have to do. And the honorable ones take the path that's the least bad.
What about Matt Getz?
Yes? Remind me now, too many names in the South Florida Congressman, okay.
Crazy one.
time to a telephone pole when the next hurricane comes through.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sure he said something terrible, but I just don't remember what it
Oh,
was.
everything he says is terrible.
Okay,
Yes.
Consistently terrible.
that's good enough.
Predictably.
That's good enough. Yeah, anyway, so we got to
Oh.
support our candidates. Go ahead, Darlene.
I just sent you an email with an attachment of Thomas Friedman's interview from last
thank
night.
you. Okay.
So if you think it's valuable, then you can send it off to everybody else.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
I'll do
Yeah.
that. Thank you. Does anybody else want to weigh in on this? I wanted to ask all of you, the ones, who are here, what were you doing on the 6th of January? Where were you? Were you sitting in front of your television?
Yes.
Screaming.
Yeah, glued.
Literally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Were you surprised that that happened in our country?
No.
Yes.
I
Okay,
was,
we've got some no's and we've got some yeses.
yes.
I have to admit, I wasn't surprised that all those people got there and were as
Yeah.
riled up as they were. I was surprised when the doors and windows of the Capitol were breached.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I was really shocked with the zip ties.
Oh,
And
now he says he picked them up off the floor.
yeah, right. But it was so the image of that actually being, those things actually being used was horrifying. And also the policeman, Sergeant Goodman, who redirected them. Oh my
Right.
God.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Jeez.
He was really brave.
Hero.
Yes, yes. If I were in Congress, if I were a member of Congress, I would start a scholarship fund for his children.
Oh, yeah. There's so many things I want done. I want the Congress people who voted to not certify the election, I want them removed from Congress.
Yes.
There is a precedent for that
Absolutely.
somewhere. I just can't keep all of it. There's like, what, 250 years of history here?
Certainly the ones that took them around the day before
Yeah.
and showed them where all the doors were, the magic doors.
I
Gone.
think they are in trouble.
It's an insider job, and it wasn't just
Yeah.
the president.
Yeah.
All of those folks need to be held accountable. And we were talking about the Dixiecrats earlier, if I can just interject. I lived out of the country for 9 years during that period, from 63 to 72, somewhere in that point. And I had a newborn baby in this one incident. She was 3 months old. And the elections came up in this particular government. We were on a French island, independent island. And we were the only Americans. And people were disappearing. They were being drowned or murdered or whatever. Being white, I was a minority. That part doesn't bother me a bit. But the fact that we were the only Americans anyway, when all this communist stuff was going on with voting, my husband worked for Pan Am, and he sent a car out for me and the baby. And we laid on the floor, but I was praying that baby wouldn't cry. And that wonderful driver piled sugarcane and straw on top of us, because all the way back to the airport, it was something like a 20-mile ride. We would be stopped and the car would be searched, and pitchforks and machetes came through the straw. And fortunately, that driver, I didn't understand the language, so I don't know what all he said to the other person that would stop the car. But I've been there, what the Capitol went through. And it's scary, it's frightening, and you don't expect it in America. But Americans have been not paying attention. We've had all these signs for 4 years at least. And I was a psychiatric nurse, and I told all my neighbors, don't vote for Trump because he is a sociopathic personality. But he's not the only one. There are
No.
many in the group. And if you overlook it and make excuses, this is going to continue. And America is not going to be the shining star we've been. And that's just what I wanted to share with you.
In fact, sociopathic tendencies are very prized in corporate executives.
Yes, they
There
are.
are some of
And
the
you can't
tendencies
change
that
it.
are-
There's
that
no
are-
way to change. There's no cure,
Right,
except don't put them in power. That's the thing.
exactly,
Right. It's
exactly.
like pedophiles, right? There's no cure for pedophiles or
Well, then we
sociopaths.
better get Biden out of office, you know.
Or, so that's a different story, but certainly sociopathic personality is born that way.
Wayne, your speaker is off. Did you want to say something a few minutes ago?
Can't hear you.
You're muted, Wayne.
Wayne, your speaker is off.
We can't hear you, Wayne.
Can't hear you.
I'm not sure he's saying anything.
Okay, he may not have. I'm going to move on, and if he comes live, then we'll. Okay, we wanted to talk a little bit about what we want to do for the rest of the year. There are, not many of our registered and signed up Democrats and members of the club, and the board and I, and maybe some of you might want to weigh on what we can do that going forward. I think the pandemic has hit us hard in more than one way. We can't be together. Some of our members don't like this technology, don't feel comfortable with this technology, and don't enjoy being in a square on a screen on a computer. And so I think that's why a lot of our members aren't attending. I also think that the pandemic has affected people's emotional outlooks, and also the stress of worrying about if Trump would get out of office or not. But now I'm very happy he's gone, and that's relieved a little bit of stress, but I'm still very stressed out because we still have COVID, and Biden still has to run the country with all the constraints that are going to be placed upon him. So typically speaking, in normal times, this club has had meetings every other month on off years that are not election years. Well, the board decided that's what we're going to do again this year. And I don't necessarily think that was a bad idea for two reasons. Although there are a lot of things we could be doing, I just think we can't be together in person. It's difficult to organize people, to get people to do things, even when we are together in person. So we're going to meet every other month. Gary, I believe you did send out a broadcast email to all members about this, right? Okay.
Yes, odd number months for this year, for 2021.
And we will still be looking for speakers. Herman will still be looking for speakers to join us on our Zoom meetings. And those of us who, the board members will be doing some more, trying to get some of our members who aren't coming to the Zoom meetings to come back and get on the Zoom meetings. We'll try to find out if it's a technology issue or something. Is there anybody here that's on the screen with us right now would like to talk about? Oh, let me back up. We will continue Zoom meetings. I believe this is a consensus opinion of the board until everybody's vaccinated. And Gary, I don't know if it's possible for us to wait until it's 0 cases, but at some point when the cases are going down instead of rising, then we would
just a matter of comfort. At some point there will be some of us who are more comfortable than others, and we may have lighter in-person attendance when we do start in-person meetings again, whatever that is, whether that's 5 months from now or 15 months from now, I don't know. But there will be some more comfortable sooner than others, and we'll always respect that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I fixed my speaker.
You want to say something, Wayne?
Yeah, I fixed my speaker. I'm sorry, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, well, after you go, then Darlene, you'll go, okay? What do you want to say, Wayne?
I wanted to, with the Zoom meetings, I agree with what Gary just said. It'll be a comfort factor and safety factor for everybody when we feel comfortable. 5 months, like I said, everybody gets vaccinations, and we can always just throw it out there. Who was willing to meet in person, and then it will also depend on the sites being open to us to actually hold meetings. I don't think they're actually open yet, anyways.
I agree.
So that's something we need to think about. But as far as, and with the position of secretary goes, I would encourage someone to come forward and take that position. With Gary doing the recording and the Zoom, It's not going to be that type of strenuous. This year is only going to be 6 meetings. And as president for the past 2 years and an officer, I found it very rewarding to be part of the club. And I'm sure whoever takes the secretary job will find it the same way. And then there's also positions still on the board, which I'm going to stay on the board if you would like to join as a board member. But I think we have to wait till we're all comfortable for the meetings.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, again.
I just have to ask, since Wayne brought it up again, did anybody see the email that went out about the secretary position?
I did.
Yeah.
You
No.
did, okay, all right, just
I did.
checking. It went out really late, but I just wondered if anybody saw it. Okay,
It was excellent, by the way.
oh, well, I wasn't searching for a compliment, I just, actually I
You
was.
didn't have to. It was very good.
Okay, Darlene, what did you want to say?
Oh, I just wanted to say that, you know, when I've been coming to the meetings, we always have the, that club, you know, it's not the Orchid Club, it was the other one. And there's always a nice outdoor area. It might be like a good training wheels to just start outside, and then eventually when we feel comfortable, move inside. I'm really pro outside.
Me too, me too.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, Gary, Gary?
Jim has something to say.
Okay,
Jim Carroll.
Well, I got my COVID shot today.
yay!
Yay.
And I was reminded by the nurse that the vaccine does not only, you can still get COVID. It will not be as bad as if you were not vaccinated. So in person still has risk. So you're going to have to think about if everybody even gets vaccinated, there's still the risk. So you're going to have to think about that as far as in person or still continue with Zoom and so forth.
I'm afraid that the public isn't getting the message, and frankly, I don't know if everybody on this screen has heard this, but the scientists are telling us that even after we all, if 80 or 90% of us get our vaccination, we still have to wear masks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you know how that's going to go down with a segment of the public.
Yeah. Yeah.
And are
But
we
that's-
going? Go ahead.
That's
Deborah.
their problem. That's their problem. I mean, the rest of us,
What's
you know,
happened,
the rest of us will wear masks happily.
It overloads the hospitals and everything else.
what's happened with the rest of the people who have not cooperated is every virus will mutate on itself and become something stronger or weaker depending. But because of the population in America not cooperating, it is mutating so fast that the vaccines can't keep up with the changes in the structure. And so the scientists in the labs, they're all working as hard as they can to try to catch up with it. But this virus is mutating, and each person who doesn't wear a mask is a host for that mutation.
Right.
And not only are they going to give it to somebody else and not know it maybe because they don't have symptoms, but they are carriers and or could be, and that virus is free to mutate as much as it can. So that's what's happening.
And to that point, Amalia, which I think a good portion of our population doesn't understand, this may go on for another year or longer. And I'm very, very sorry to even have to say that, but it has to be said. I mean, this is an insidious situation we're in because some people get it and don't even know they have it.
Mm-hmm.
And because some people don't even know anyone who's had it, they don't believe it exists. Now, I don't know what news stations they listen to because the news stations that Al and I watch,
Fox.
I'm a respiratory therapist, and I tell you I tell you, even though the technology and the advancements, I haven't practiced for over 20 years, so there are advancements now that weren't being done when I practiced. But I can tell you what the inside of a respiratory intensive care looks like. And I can tell you that this situation that are in those intensive cares right now is like something I have never seen in
That's correct.
life.
That's correct.
And what?
But did everybody get to see it
No,
on TV?
everybody doesn't get to see them. That's what my dear Joe here is weighing in on me again.
Is there anybody that hasn't seen them on TV?
Is there any what?
Hasn't seen the inside of the ICU on TV, on the news shows?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not only that, parking lots have been converted into hospital rooms,
Right.
Right.
shops. I mean, people who aren't paying attention don't want to know, actually.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
And yet they'll go to church and pray. And I've had some
Oh
neighbors,
God, here we go.
I've actually had some neighbors that have said this to me, that they don't believe it, but they're praying for other people. And all I say to them is, if you have the 10 commandments, there's one that says thou shalt not kill. It doesn't say with a gun or a knife. And those of you who won't wear a mask, and I've told them right to their face, you're killing or possibly killing because you're not wearing a mask. And you want to go to church and pray? Fine, go ahead.
I support, I'm a very strong supporter of religious liberty or other philosophies liberty. My personal opinion is everybody does the philosophy or the religion they want to do, as long as they're not harming anybody else.
Yes.
To corroborate what you just said, Amalia.
Yeah.
That's right.
That
Sometimes you have to hit them, you have to say it in such a way that it makes them feel like they're part of it and they don't like what they hear, but maybe they'll think about it later.
right.
Yes.
They don't have complete logic. They'll hang on to one little thing that sounds logical to them until you do something like you just suggested, where, okay, this is your belief. Here's how your belief fits in the big picture.
Sure.
They didn't think about that bigger picture.
Yeah.
And so I tend to like to do what you're doing. It's like,
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you, I even told my pastor, he wants to know why I don't come to church. I said, number one, you haven't cleaned out your ventilator system. Well, we changed the filters. I said, that's not good enough. You have a dark area of ducts full of moisture from humidity, and it's been closed up for a while, and then you open it up and you think everything's fine. It isn't fine. You have spores up there. That's how Legionnaire's disease got started. And that's where this virus will hide also, in those buildings and restaurants, you name it. And I
What
said
is your church doing?
so that he could give it to the elders, but
Amalia, what is your church doing to try to stem the tide of COVID? What is your church doing?
oh, everybody sits 3 pews apart and they clean the, and all that, and they take your temperature when you walk in the door. But it's the air you breathe. And if you're wearing a mask, you've got some protection, but it's not 100%.
Okay, so they're doing something, they're just not doing all the right things. That's,
Well,
I
one
mean,
thing
at
that
least they're
might,
doing that.
one thing that might start convincing some people is my grandson, who's he's a sophomore in high school. He's been sent home 3 times because of outbreaks at school. So, and now the rate of infection among children is starting to go higher and higher.
Absolutely.
So when your own kids start getting sick, then that may change a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, it should.
That's right.
Unfortunately, it may take that.
Okay, well, guys, I'm gonna start heading us toward a wrap up here. So we know what we're doing this year. We're gonna meet on the odd months. We're gonna have speakers. We don't know who the speaker for February will be yet, but when we know that, we'll send out a message to you.
March.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm a real slow learner, guys. We're going to meet every other month, and we don't meet until March. Pardon
Al,
me.
you're supposed to have that note card handy.
And no card. Oh yeah, he's supposed to be poking me and tell me what I'm supposed to be doing. Anyway, yes,
Come on.
March, and we'll vote on our officers then. So we'll have board members and we'll have officers. And I look forward to a good meeting, and we'll have.
Linda,
Yes, Herman.
who's the nominee for vice president?
Gary
Green.
Gary
Gary?
Green, he has left the building.
And who's the treasurer?
The empty chair over here. There he is. There he
D.
is.
Brandt.
D?
D. Brandt,
D.
treasurer,
Okay,
and parliamentarian Jim Carroll.
got it.
Okay? All
Okay,
right, and
good.
then the board, all of those names are still board members. Wayne Namey will be a board member, and Herman Brown is a board member, and Irv Becker is a board member. And so,
Don't forget me.
say that again?
And Jim
Did I-
Houlihan.
Jim Houlihan.
Did I leave you
Yeah.
out, Jim?
Jim Houlihan.
Well, you're just gonna have to come over here and whack me.
If
or
we
something.
can see your face, maybe.
Yeah, we can't see your face.
There you go.
Just keep reminding me. Okay, guys, I see Bill Earl joined us. He's silent. I just wanted to acknowledge him that he's here, even though I can't see his face. Oh.
Hi,
Hi, Bill.
I've been listening for the last 20 minutes.
Okay.
It's the first time I've used it,
Sorry,
so
I'm sorry, is that what?
it's the first time I've used this, so I'm not quite sure. I don't even know if I have on my cell phone. I don't even think I have a photo thing. I can use it on my laptop.
Okay.
next time.
Well,
Hey,
thank
Bill.
you for
Yeah.
being a first time attendee. I love it.
Well,
Okay. Can anybody see me?
I
No.
can't
Yeah.
see you, but I can
No.
see your name.
Good, all right.
yeah, your camera's turned off, Bill, and that's fine. Everybody can turn on or off their camera as they feel comfortable.
Gonna look for the little icon.
Right. So Bill,
Oh,
can I use your name as a help if Bill needs help?
Oh, see.
Bill, this is Linda, and my husband Hal sitting next to me. If you want a little coaching or something with Hal at some point, you can call us. We're in the phone book, and he might help you through.
Will do. But
Okay.
I think I'll use my tablet or my laptop, which has a photo. So next time you're gonna see me in living color.
Okay, because it's really kind of fun. We look like the Brady Bunch. We're all in
Okay.
little squares.
You sound good.
It's
And your
really
photos
cool.
are coming in good. Your
Oh,
photos are coming in.
You
We
can
just
see
don't
us.
have any catchy theme music. That's
There
our
you go.
problem. No catchy theme. Okay, guys, well, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks, everybody, for being here,
Good night, everybody.
right,
Wait, we want one more thing.
what?
Happy
Wait.
birthday.
Happy birthday, Hal.
Oh, yes.
Happy birthday, Hal.
Yes,
Happy birthday.
yes.
My birthday present.
Happy birthday, Hal.
Yes, yes.
Yesterday.
I was
Which Hal?
confused on Hal's birthday.
Happy birthday, Hal.
Happy birthday, Hal.
The insurrection at the White House happened on our 43rd anniversary.
Oh.
People were really upset.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Oh, boy.
Okay, guys. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Gary, for our tech guy.
Night, everybody.
Okay, bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Bye-bye,
All right,
everybody.
bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Good to see y'all.
Nikki and John, thank you.
See you in a couple of months.
Okay,
Wednesday.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Enjoy next Wednesday.